that we live in a great city. But today is a special day for a special city, for a special man. And to all the students here, you now belong to a special school from an extraordinary man, just like Nicholas Oreskos. When you think about their lives and think about what they did for their fellow soldiers, put their lives on the line without even thinking, they reacted. The bravery that are shown by every single one of the veterans sitting here today, and some of them go above and beyond. And that's why we are here today. It took a long time for our country to get it right. And today, Bayonne gets it right. And I just want to thank the family for being here today. And it is a great honor to be the mayor, to be able to bestow the William Shemin Midtown Community School on our city. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, who was supposed to be with us today, sends her regrets. It's a busy day in Trenton, and she couldn't steal time away to get up here, but she asked to please send her thoughts. But at this time, I'd like to recognize someone. I'd like to speak about Council Member at Large Juan Perez. Juan sent correspondence on November 9th, 2018 to the then Interim Superintendent Michael Wanko and informed us about William Shemin, who most of us didn't even know about. And in his letter to the board, to the superintendent, he asked that we consider renaming Midtown Community School in his honor. It was referred to the District Recognition Committee in December of 18, and then to the Board of Education Curriculum Committee, also in December of 2018. It was referred to the full board, and the board on January 30th passed the school board resolution to assign a name to Midtown Community School. And that's why we are here today, the William Shemin Midtown Community School number 8. It's an amazing thought that a town like Bayonne would not only have a Stephen Gregg, who we have our park named after, and Mr. Nicholas Oreskos, who many of us had the pleasure to meet, that we have one of our grammar schools named after, and now to have another school named after another great veteran, Mr. William Shemin. At this time, I'd like to bring out Miss Elsie Shemin Roth. Now, after researching the Medal of Honor ceremony, I learned about Elsie through a lot of the videos that you just saw. I decided to Google her, and I found that in St. Louis, there are 7 Elsie Shemins. Well, I started at the top of the list. And I got down to about the 4th phone call, and I introduced myself, and I said, would you be the daughter of William, who used to live in Bayonne, New Jersey? And she said, yes, I am. And since that day, we've emailed and we've spoken to each other for these last few months. We've gotten to be very friendly with each other. It was an honor this morning to finally meet her and to bring her around Bayonne and show her where the family grew up and some of the sites, and to take her to Nicholas Oreskos School. So at this time, we want to give her as much time as she would like. I'd like to introduce Ms. Elsie Shemin Roth.
I just never expected this. I didn't even bring Kleenex to wipe my eyes on Friday morning. It has been so wonderful. Good morning to everyone.
Morning.
thank you all for coming. I had a half a dozen people to thank, but there are dozens. I will thank Councilman Juan Perez because he was the beginning. I will thank the board, the Bayonne board, because they're the ones that acted on his recommendation. And I want to thank Dr. Gary Mehta for being the most wonderful host and just the most terrific guy. But I have so many more of you. Just thank you, all of the kids, their teachers, the police, the firemen, the veterans that are here. If I've missed anybody, please excuse me. I do want to introduce my sister. I have two families here that I want to introduce, though. My sister, Ina. And we have, I think, 3 generations of Shemans here. We have the grandkids, stand up grandkids. We have their children, the little ones, great-grandkids there, and we have a whole wonderful group of cousins. Where, cousins, please stand up. Come on, all of you. There is one other person I would like you to meet, and that's Colonel Rich Goldenberg, who's a public affairs officer that, as my father always called me, his right-hand man, and called Carol, my daughter, Ina, his right-hand man. He's been my right-hand man. Where are you, Rich? Just stand up. I would love a shot of whiskey, but I think is there water? There's water there. Just joking. The kids are not supposed to hear that. And what an honor it is for the Shemin family to know that my father will always have a presence in his hometown associated with this school. I'd like to introduce to you the second family now that's so special. James A. Pritchard from Jersey City and Bill Shemin were destined to meet for basic training at Camp Green, Charlotte, North Carolina in 1917. They were both assigned to Company G of the 4th Infantry Division and became sergeants together. They shipped out overseas together and then were soon in action together. Sometime during August 7th to 9th, Jim was badly wounded in the shoulder. He was bleeding profusely and could not move. My father saw this, exposing himself to heavy machine gun and small arms fire, air bombardment, and mustard gas in the middle of the day when there was no cover. He crossed a space of 150 yards, as President Obama said, a football field and a half each way 3 times to rescue Jim. The choice was rescue or watch Jim bleed to death. There was no time for decision. Bill Shemin burst across the field to bring his friend back to safety. They remained dear friends for the rest of their lives. Please meet Jim Pritchard's son, James J. Pritchard. Jim, stand up. And his wife, Lorraine. What an honor it is to have you all here. My grandfather, Harris Shemin, that's William's father, was a surgical instrument maker in Russia. Wait a minute. You'll just excuse me here. I have my papers a little messed up. At age 90, the only round trip traveling that I do now is from my kitchen to the bathroom and back to the kitchen again, and that's the truth. But today is something so special for me. I would not have missed coming back to Bayonne for the world. Let me tell you why. Both of my parents were raised in Bayonne. The Schiffer family on my mother's side came here in 1900 from Austria, escaping terrible anti-Semitism with no hope for the future if they remained. They raised 4 children. My mother was the oldest. On a peddler's salary of selling used clothing, somehow 3 kids received a college education and one with a master's degree during the Deep Depression. The Shemens came in 1890 from Belarus, then part of Russia, directly escaping the horrific pogroms, and again, with no hope for the future if they remained. Both families, after a brief stay in New York City, moved to Bayonne, where they remained and thrived. My grandfather, Harris Shemin, that's William's father, was a surgical instrument maker in Russia. He would now become a manufacturer of fountain pens. Bayonne was so good to and for my immigrant families. I would visit the Schiffer grandparents at 37 West 39th Street from age 4 through high school for many weekends. I met their friends, their shopkeepers. I would go to a beautiful movie theater on Journal Square and play in many lovely parks. My happiest longtime memories are of Bayonne then. And now I have the privilege of coming back 75 years later. To the students, I would like to tell you a little more about my father, William Shemin. He had a wonderful sense of humor. He bemoaned the fact that he always came out second in his penmanship class behind the same girl that sat in front of him during his entire public school education. No matter how hard or long he practiced, she always placed first. This big burly guy with gigantic hands had such an elegant handwriting, it was always a surprise to everyone. After the war, my father enrolled in the College of Forestry at Syracuse University. Upon graduation, he became a forester for the city of Bayonne for several years. He then decided to open up his own greenhouse and nursery business in the then rural Bronx. It would be here that he would marry a Bayonne girl, my mother, and raise 3 children. My father was a natural athlete. He excelled in 6 sports. At Syracuse, he was on the undefeated varsity football team in 1922 in the fall, and by the way, still undefeated, and the varsity lacrosse team in the spring. He was an avid reader, and upon retirement, he and my mother traveled to the most interesting places all over the world. However, throughout his whole life, he never forgot his veteran friends. He would help them find jobs and arrange medical help for those in need, very often taking them to their doctor's appointments himself. He knew how hard the transition to civilian life was, as he had what was then called shell shock. Today, it is called post-traumatic stress disorder. As children, we understood this about our father. My father was also a very old-fashioned guy. I was not allowed to wear lipstick or cut my hair until graduation from high school. But pay attention to this, kids, because this is good coming up. But he was so modern and on the cutting edge in strongly encouraging his children, 2 girls and a boy, to do 2 very important things in life. The first was getting an education beyond high school. He suggested several ways to do this. The first was going to college right from high school, which was the traditional way. This was not his first choice, as he went to college after being discharged from the Army at age 21. He said he got a better education because he was older and had life experience. Second way was getting a job or even several jobs after high school in order to experience the real world, but with the full understanding that one would attend college later and in a timely way. The third was joining the military, where one would get both life experience and an education during active duty or after discharge. The other second really important suggestion is this. Always do a little more for someone than asked. Always do a little more for someone than asked. For instance, if someone you love asks you to sweep the floor, do just that, but then also bring the laundry up or do something else that you know needs to be done. I guarantee your loved one will be astounded and will say, "Are you really my child?" This is an amazing life lesson that ensures success in anything you do. And it is so simple and so beautiful. Finally, I will leave you all with this message. My father would have been so proud to receive this honor of having a school named after him. He would have considered it equal to receiving the Medal of Honor. Educating yourself and doing just a little more for someone than asked will leave a legacy of inspiration and success for you during your whole life. It is my hope that you will always remember the wonderful education that you received at this school, and you will reflect on its name and the memory of the man named for it. Sergeant William Shemin, United States Army, Infantry Rifleman, Medal of Honor and Purple Heart recipient from Bayonne, New Jersey. Thank you so much. And I know my sister agrees with me that what happened here today, with so many people involved and all of those beautiful kids, for us, the family, is as good as what happened to us at the White House. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. This is great.
Good morning. You may now be seated. Good morning again. I would first like to start by saying thank you to all of those who have worked so hard to make this occasion memorable. It was truly a school effort and something that we all can be proud of. Thank you to the Shemin and the Pritchard families, to our distinguished guests, board members, central office staff, teachers, students, colleagues that have joined us today. This tribute provided each of us an opportunity to reflect on how we can better serve others and be contributing members of society. It has been said, heroes are never perfect, but they are brave. They're authentic, they're courageous, and determined. As you view the dedication plaque that will be displayed in our main school entrance, let it be a constant reminder of the strength, the service, dedication, courage demonstrated by William Shemin, who bravely served our country. In the words of Maya Angelou, one isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. We can't be kind, true, merciful, generous, or honest. On behalf of William Shemin, Midtown Community School, again, we say thank you.
Superintendent Neese, would you please come to the stage?
Everyone, this is a replica of the actual plaque that is now outside our front lobby, as we have now renamed our school to be William Shemin Midtown Community School.
At this time, we are going to ask our distinguished guests, board members, central office staff, if we can exit. We're going to just take a few photos by the dedication plaque.